The following is the agenda for the regular Borough Council meeting of the Borough of Pompton Lakes, Mayor and Council and Municipal Corporation in the County of Passaic. The meeting will begin at 7:30 p.m. on October 22nd, 2025 in the Municipal Building, 25 Lenox Avenue, Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. Consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act, the meeting will be open for public comments and shall be in accordance with the terms and conditions of the Borough Municipal Code and bylaws.
Please stand for a flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would ask everybody to keep in memory Andy Silverstein, who was a longtime planning board and redevelopment and Board of Education member, passed, and Ellis Marples, who was a longtime councilman here, also passed. Two people that spent a lot of time and energy helping our community. So we have a moment of silence for them. Thank you. In conformance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this regular meeting through notice posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, mailed to all requested and paid for same, and published in the Suburban Trends. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sarah.
Here.
Council President Polidori.
Here.
Councilman Cruz.
Here.
Councilman Hin.
Here.
Councilwoman Kemp.
Here.
Councilman Quinn.
Here.
Councilman Bennett.
Here.
With us this evening is our Borough Attorney David Rutenberg and our Borough Administrator Michael Correll.
Thank you. Before we get to our presentation, it's my honor to invite our Commissioner Orlando Cruz up to do a little something for us with a nice big check. Always nice to get a big check.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, once again, good evening, Mayor, Honorable Council President, and council members. I'm here, well, for those of you who don't know me, I'm County Commissioner Orlando Cruz, no relation to Councilman Bobby Cruz. If that's a good thing or not. But
Cousins.
yeah, we're cousins. There you go. For us at the county, Pompton Lakes is more than just a borough. It's a community that reflects the heart, resilience, and pride of its residents. So the county tonight is proud to stand beside you in support of that spirit every step of the way. I'm honored to present the borough a $100,000 grant from the Passaic County Open Space, Farmland, and Historic Preservation Trust Fund. The funding will support the much-needed upgrades to the Pompton Lakes Library, helping to preserve this true local landmark, which has served this community since 1912. The library, which you know was commissioned by Ms. Emanuel Einstein in the memory of her husband, has been a cornerstone of education, literacy, and community programs for more than a century. The recent renovations have modernized the building, but structural challenges remain. This grant ensures that the library's historic charm and architectural integrity are protected by with these dollars, and they'll be protected for generations to come. Passaic County continues to work on projects that put people first, as you guys are well aware of the Liberty, a new senior and veterans affordable housing project that represents far more than brick and mortar, a place where residents will find comfort, safety, and dignity. Prioritizing our veterans and local seniors, this $19.6 million project that will be managed by Christian Healthcare Center will offer not only quality living space, but also supportive services to residents to live healthy and fulfilling lives. When it comes to everyday life, we also have obviously the Pompton Aquatic Park, a place where families can explore, neighbors can connect, and enjoy the beauty of nature right here in Pompton Lakes, right in their own backyard. So whether it's bird watching, fishing, hiking, this is a reminder of how much open space means to us. With that being said, on our county website is a link to an open space survey. This will guide future decisions on preservation, recreation, and investment. We are encouraging everyone to please go on our website, click on the link, fill out the questionnaire. We're encouraging everyone to participate here in Pompton Lakes. It's not just about programs and projects, it's about the people. So this survey will help us ensure that every resident has the opportunity to live, work, and enjoy all that this community has to offer. Together, we will continue to make Pompton Lakes a place where everyone can thrive. Thank you again for the time, and Mayor, I'd like to present you with the check.
First of all, thank you for coming down. You know, you're picking one of our gems of our town is our library. It's been a long time standing, and anything we can do to make that better. I'm going to ask Michael, our library director, why don't you come on up too? So we appreciate all the time and
Thank
energy
you.
you put into this and the money we get from the open space. Open space goes a long way in our community with many different projects that we're working on. We don't always ask as much open space can come to Pompton Lakes as the best, because it really helps us do projects in a small town. So we appreciate the time and energy.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you,
May
Council.
I introduce some of the board?
Oh, is the board here? Yes, we're here.
Here to the library.
Yeah, who's ever here from the board, come on up. All right, you guys can take this and cash it.
Yeah, you can. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members.
Thank you.
Okay, now I'm going to ask Colliers Engineering, Kristen, to step forward and talk about our community energy plan presentation.
Yep. Good evening, everybody. Kristen Russell with Colliers Engineering and Design, and I am your municipal planner. One project that we have been working on recently is your municipal community energy plan. About a year ago, Pompton Lakes received a grant to prepare this document, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the background. In 2000 and a couple years ago, the state adopted their own community energy plan, and that sets forth their goals to make New Jersey more energy efficient, to reduce emissions, and to be more responsible to our environment. They can't do that on their own, so they are asking municipalities to create their own, let's say, mini community energy plan to select how each municipality will play a role in that endeavor to be more energy efficient by 2050. The document that you received, at the beginning, it goes over some demographic information. I'm not going to get into all of that. Then we get to a section called the work plan. So the BPU, who is the giver of the grant, along with Sustainable Jersey, has prepared, I'll say, a menu of initiatives that towns can pick from, things ranging from solar to EV to building efficiencies like rainwater capture and using LED bulbs instead of traditional old light bulbs, that sort of thing. There's probably 30-some items on this menu that municipalities can pick from. So Pompton Lakes put together a group of municipal representatives who worked with me and came up with a list of 9 initiatives that they found were appropriate and possible for Pompton Lakes to pursue. Now, I'll go over each of them, but I want to let you know that putting them in here does not necessarily obligate you to do them. If your priorities change, or if the money's not there, or anything like that, there's no penalty for not pursuing them. The reason that we list them and go into some detail about each of them is that once they are in this document, you'll be eligible for implementation grants. So projects that you already have your eye on, or things that you even think you might want to do, are now, once you get to them, you're now in a really good position to ask for funding to support that endeavor. So the choices that were made are things that Pompton Lakes, the representatives on this team, thought are possible, thought are desirable, and thought, yeah, if the opportunity presents itself and we can get funding to do this, it might be a good thing for Pompton Lakes. Not every town picks the same thing. I'll give you an example. A sunny beach town might have great opportunities for solar where a town with a lot of tree cover might not. So that's why each initiative is looked at through a local lens to decide what really makes sense for your town. I'm going to go through each of them at a pretty high level because I don't want to spend all of your evening going into the nitty-gritty on this, but if you have any questions about any one in particular or broader questions, I'm happy to take them. So the state plan, the state energy plan, sets forth their initiatives by categories. So the first category, or they call it strategy, is to reduce energy consumption and emissions from the transportation sector. Pompton Lakes picked several from this strategy. The first one being to improve municipal fleet efficiency. We are aware that the DPW has 18 vehicles and the police force has 19. And so the steps toward improving fleet efficiency will revolve around somebody in DPW keeping an annual inventory of the vehicles, coming up with a 5-year procurement plan. And there's basically a website that helps you calculate whether or not the cost of a new efficient or electric vehicle based on miles driven and stuff like that will be worthwhile for your needs. And so the DPW representative will work with that software, and where it's efficient to do so, will consider upgrading to EVs, plug-ins, whatever is a step above what they already have now. That will go with the normal turnover of vehicles anyway. It's not saying that you would buy a whole new fleet in 2026 or anything like that. It would be a gradual process. Another initiative in this category that was selected was to install public EV charging infrastructure. That just simply means inventorying possible public or municipal owned parking lots, finding a spot that can receive that electricity in a reasonable way, and going forward to install some EV chargers. That will serve as a demonstration because the third initiative in this category was to encourage workplace EV charging infrastructure. And that would involve some outreach to businesses, maybe businesses that have substantial parking lots, and encouraging them to go and add one to their parking lot, whether or not that's for the use of their employees and the public as well, or however that works itself out. The second strategy that the state established and that Pompton Lakes selected initiatives from is to accelerate the deployment of renewable energy, and that basically has to do with solar. Pompton Lakes does have about 3,100 roofs that are considered solar viable. That means they get enough sun to make it worthwhile. And so the first initiative that was selected was to adopt supportive zoning and permitting for private solar. This would be an ordinance amendment that basically puts in place the steps, the regulations, so forth in your zoning code for rooftop solar. Then the next two related initiatives are basically to encourage people to do this. So the first being a solar employee benefit program. So that would mean partnering with a solar provider, coming up with a package, kind of like a package deal for municipal employees that might, a matter of efficiency by you have now this larger population of people who you're advertising to in a collective way, and let's see if we can get a handful even of municipal employees interested. And then on a broader scale, if that works at the municipal employee level, to broadcast that to the community at large. Okay, we're partnering with solar provider, solar installer, Mr. Sunshine, and they've come up with a great deal for Pompton Lakes, and here's a flyer to tell you more about it. You can click on this link and ask for, specific information related to your home. The third strategy is maximizing energy efficiency and conservation, and that's related to the cost of energy in buildings and the effort to make buildings more energy efficient and have lower cost in municipal operations. The first initiative is called just that, Upgrade Energy Efficiency in Municipal Facilities. Pompton Lakes intends to achieve Sustainable Jersey Gold Star in energy, which requires reducing greenhouse gases by a certain percentage over several years. JCP&L has a program where they will work with municipalities and help and audit your buildings and tell you where your opportunities are to become more efficient. I don't know the details behind how they do that and what they look at, but they will come, and I believe it's free of charge. They will come in, help you audit the buildings, and then you can make a decision from there as to where you get a high rate of return on improving your buildings. Again, that sort of serves as a demonstration because once that is done, a similar program is available to residents. And it could be, advertised or shared through the municipality to tell residents, hey, JCP&L can come out and tell you how to make your house more energy efficient, whether that's with low flow faucets or changing light bulbs or really old appliances that could be Energy Star, a bunch of different programs. Then strategy number 4 is prioritizing green design in construction. And this is kind of the biggest dream, perhaps we can call it, of Pompton Lakes, and that is to implement a green building policy. Creating the policy isn't necessarily a big dream, but if and when Pompton Lakes builds new buildings, the goal would be to have energy efficiency and green building part of that plan from kickoff. And then using that, lead by example type of thing. That's a longer term vision. I know that there is a possibility that the borough could be constructing new municipal buildings, but nothing is on the immediate horizon. And so that's kind of, let's create the policy now so that when that time comes, it's all set up and we can, we can be ready from the beginning. Those are the 9 initiatives that Pompton Lakes selected, and I think I forgot to mention that we did have a community meeting maybe 2 months ago. It was actually out in the vestibule before one of your meetings, and kind of grabbed the public as they came in and said, oh, look, this is what we're doing, and talked to a couple people about it, got their input, which that is a requirement of the grant that we be sure to involve the public. And I would also invite the public to give feedback tonight if there's anything that they have questions about. So we're now at the stage where this body can vote to adopt this document. And once you've done that, when the next round of implementation funding becomes available, which I believe is early next year, any projects that you're ready to start with, you can immediately pursue that funding. Again, nothing here, there's no punishment if some of these things can't be pursued or your priorities change direction, but it's a really good start for setting yourself up for success.
Just a quick question?
Yeah.
Let me just, so first of all, thank you for coming and doing the presentation. Some of the things you're talking about are long-term goals, some of the things are short-term goals, and I think some of them we're even trying to, do right now with all our buildings. We're adding EVs to every parking group that comes in to build any type of project. They have to add EVs. It's a state mandate, but it also helps our town.
Yep.
So those are the short-term goals. We do the rain gardens. We do those things right now with our flood advisory board and those things. The longer-term goals, and I know even last night at the planning board meeting was brought up about trying to get a green roof on that new building that they were putting up. So, those are, we are part of those conversations, and, we look forward to trying to work that. But this is a long-term goal, like you said, and we'll itch away at it. If we can get some funding, it would help.
Yep.
So that's why I appreciate the idea that we can get some funding, which is great.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob, please.
Yeah, it was around funding. So how's the funding work? Is it a fixed percentage based on project scope?
You mean the
Is it-
implementation funding?
Right.
So there's not just like one implementation grant. There are many grants from, as I understand it, many sources. So the answer to that question could vary considerably between one grant and the next. And in all likelihood, at least for larger projects, you would be pursuing multiple grants to kind of piece them together and have enough money. So some might be at federal level, some might be at, Sustainable Jersey state level. And some, some grants, at least at the federal level, are in flux right now. So we might need to wait a few years until we're confident that they're going to be there. But this is still applicable at that point.
That's all.
So one of the other things we have done is we had brought in Jersey Central a couple of years ago, before our administrator, and they did do an evaluation of our building.
Yeah, I have it.
Right.
You got, I think it was, I want to say 2012. I have it in here.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah.
But, and residents have taken advantage. It is free. I think it is free. I'm not
Yep.
sure of that. It is free. So we've done, those are small things that we've done to work on that.
Yeah.
Any other questions for anybody? Okay, thank you. Thank you so
Yep.
much. Thank you. Okay. We have a motion to open the meeting for public comments.
Motion. Second.
Councilman, Lennon, Councilman Cruz, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Please step up.
Paul Baldwin, 120 Romaine Ave, following up on what our engineer just discussed, and I think I may have brought this up to council and the public previously, but JCP&L does have currently a home energy audit for private residences. It's free to anyone who has JCP&L electric, which of course we do. I had a woman come out and did an assessment of my entire house, and when she left me with a brand new light bulb for every bulb in my house that was not LED. Must have got 30 or 40 light bulbs, power strips, shower heads, all for free. She spent about an hour and a half going through my house, pointing out, here you could do this with insulation or that. But when she left, I had a box full of stuff that JCP&L gave me for free. Like I said, power strips, light bulbs of all different kinds, candle bulbs, regular bulbs, fluorescent bulbs, well, it used to be fluorescent, shower heads, all kinds of stuff. So I encourage the people of town to do that and get all this free stuff. I mean, you're paying for it indirectly through your electric bill, but God, call them up and go on their website, and they have a way, you just sign up and they'll come out and send somebody out to do a home energy audit and leave you with a bunch of good stuff. So keep that in mind.
Thank you. Anyone else?
We still requiring name and address in order to speak?
Just name.
Just name, not
We can ask
address.
for the
name
name.
and
I'm
address.
asking for the name, just so I can call you. by
Excuse
something.
me?
We can
We're
ask.
permitted to ask for the address.
Well, I
You're
understand
permitted
that
to
you
refuse.
can ask, and someone did refuse last meeting, and you still demanded it.
I reached out to my attorney, so what, you don't want to give your name, is that what you're saying? You don't want to give your name?
No, I'm not gonna give my name, I'm not
Okay.
gonna give my address.
So I'll call you. Sure. Okay. Good.
Is that funny?
Yeah, I have to call you something when I respond, that's all.
It's funny because you have to call me something when you respond.
Go ahead.
Interesting, okay. Well, last council meeting, Mr. Mayor, you, advised by the lawyer, had forced the speaker to give their home address as a condition of expressing their First Amendment right to redress her government. You took that footage and then you had it published on the internet for the world. That's gross. I'm tired of talking about it, but it seems to be relevant even today. When I'd recorded Chief Clark and now Chief Rodriguez, when Rodriguez had blown the stop sign, and Clark had said the nonsensical things he said. I exercised my Fourth Amendment right that day not to identify to the police when they had asked. They did everything they could to circumvent that right and ended up IDing me. And for years after that, I heard from numerous people that Chief Clark was mad at me, angry at what I posted, and that he was planning on retaliating against me. Lots of people. Some people from the police department. some people who are still at the police department, some random citizens. Lots of people heard about this alleged retaliation. It wasn't just me. It worried me. I even filed a report with the Passaic County Prosecutor's Office over it. Over the next year, there were police that were parked outside my house in a parking lot, pointed towards my house, constantly, almost every day. Sometimes just a few hours, sometimes all day. And this went on so close to about the time Clark left. I understand that retaliation is real even in Pompton Lakes, so I can understand why someone wouldn't want to dox themselves when speaking against you. I made a post about this outlining why I think it was wrong. It seemed to spark some controversy in town. And later on last Thursday, I happened to be picking up pizza from Tony's, and I saw that Polidori was having an event over there, meet and greet. I thought it was a good time to introduce myself to her, and we hadn't spoken before. I thought I could get some insight onto some of the things that I've been bringing up to the council. And I have to say, we had a really nice conversation. And I think we were on our way to finding some common ground that night. Unfortunately, Councilman Cruz was there too. He'd been lurking behind the entire time listening to our conversation. At one point, decided that Jen couldn't handle the polite conversation on her own and thought it would be best to explain to Jen what she couldn't say. When I told Councilman Cruz that we were having a conversation and asked him not to interrupt, this infuriated him, shattered his very fragile ego. He turned around and stepped up to me, got very loud, exclaiming he could be anywhere he wanted and say whatever he wanted. I continuously asked him to leave me alone, and he just got closer and louder. I finally asked him why he felt the need to be so loud and aggressive, and only then did he finally turn around and went back to his own conversation. At this point, my 9- and 5-year-old daughters were a bit shaken up by all this, and unfortunately, Jen and I were never able to finish our productive conversation. We had left. Sad that this is the state of Pompton politics. When you feel the need to use fear and intimidation as a response to speech, fucking tyrant, keep on violating people's rights. To be honest, I don't even think you know what those rights are. Keep on using intimidation as a tactic for free speech. Mayor, I'm going to let you know, I'm going to be uploading my own copy of this meeting to YouTube. So before you speak tonight, I'd like to see if you have the balls to give your name and address. Fuck you.
Anyone else from the like to speak? Please step up.
Elaine Zablocki, 6 Butler Street. Mr. Serra, doing something for 20 years doesn't make it right. Mr. Rutenberg, past practice doesn't contravene the Constitution. I'm exercising my First Amendment right to speak. I'm exercising my Fourth Amendment right not to identify myself to government officials absent a crime. From now on, I will say my name only when I speak at a council meeting. And about the apology, well, that was wishful thinking. I didn't really believe you'd apologize. Mr. Serra, you mentioned veterans' preference. Can you explain what that means for filling the chief's position? Another clarification. I'm not asking about pending litigation. I'm asking about current agenda items and decisions this council is making. Regarding Officer Rodriguez's comments about the Certified Public Manager program, he said he was taking the course with lots of people, like business administrators and fire department captains. Irrelevant. He said his predecessor recommended him. Now that's relevant. Derek Clark and Anthony Rodriguez are facing serious allegations about discriminatory, abusive, and often illegal behavior for years. Clark's recommendation like his wildly unfair assignment of overtime, is more proof of that special treatment. I'm actually surprised Officer Rodriguez brought it up. I'm happy to hear that Officer Rodriguez wants to send other officers to take this class during work time. I assume he's made the department aware of this. Regarding overtime, in 2024, lieutenants and captains could finally earn overtime. 21 officers earned overtime pay ranging from $57 to almost $37,000. The average was $10,651. Derek Clark approved all overtime. Officer Rodriguez made $36,935. Is 2024 the same year that Officer Rodriguez was the highest paid employee in the police department, making more money than the two higher ranked officers, captain and chief, in spite of being a lieutenant for the first half of that year? How does that happen? Mr. Serra, if you have numbers and facts that explain $20,000 gaps in annual salaries, please explain that to the taxpayers. And something more substantial than Mrs. Zablocki's information is inaccurate. It's not. And the borough follows state guidelines for Oprah requests. The town is not even close to following proper Oprah guidelines. Until there is a credible response to months of questioning, this sounds like a years-long scam of the police department and the taxpayers of Pompton Lakes.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public would like to address?
Good evening. George Popov, 1104 Colfax Avenue, but I'm sure you know that by now. 2.5 weeks ago, the pipe that was ruining my property at 1102 Colfax Avenue, right next door to my property, was plugged. Since then, we've had several conversations, but no answers. Nothing to do about permit costs. When can I start repairing my property? Who's going to cover the costs? I have 7 quotes. My discussions with Mr. Corelli haven't even come close to these numbers. I don't know where he and his engineer came up with his numbers, but it's just, they're ridiculous. I also want to find out when is the next step. They said I can't start until they totally fill the pipe. The pipe's just been plugged. It went in. Matter of fact, I think it was done by DPW on a Saturday morning at 7 a.m. So I'd like to see some progress. You know, as I've asked before, let's not do this all sequentially. We need to get stuff going. The weather's deteriorating. I don't want to go for another year without my property being fixed. It's dangerous. My family's in danger. I don't see why I have to be put through this, or my family. Michael? I hope you can speed things up. Thank you, Michael.
Anyone else from the public would like to address? I see a hand back there. Someone? Yeah, okay, come on.
Excuse me. Ed Merrill, 50 Ringwood Court, Pompton Lakes. The reason I'm here to speak is to make note of the passing of former Councilman Ellis Marples. For many years, I was the Pompton Lakes environmental officer. One of the pure pleasures of my job was working with Councilman Ellis Marples. By any and every measure of the term, Ellis Marples was a true public servant. In all of the many years that we worked together, if I had ever asked Ellis what was in it for him, he wouldn't know what I could possibly be talking about. In that sense, Ellis was old school. He wanted to know what problem would be solved and how many people would be helped. Many of the things that we worked on together had never been done before. That didn't bother Ellis. He had no fear of new ideas. His main concern was, could we do it right? Ellis was available whenever and wherever you needed him. Given the nature of my job of overseeing the environment, so often what needed to be seen was well off of the beaten path. Ellis was never afraid to get his shoes dirty. Hopefully, I have been able to share a little bit of Ellis for those who never knew him. People who knew Ellis will never forget him. I certainly know that I never will. Ellis, have a good rest now. You have earned it. Goodbye, friend, and good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public would like to address? Please step up.
Mike Simone, not afraid to give my address at 25 West Lenox. Two things. Ellis, I'm glad Ed brought it up. Ellis was my running mate for quite a few years, and we served on the council for quite a few years together. A very honorable man. He was very proud of his service in the Army. We always would tease each other about the Army versus the Air Force. And I will tell you that he was responsible for a lot of the playground improvements in town, if anyone is not aware of that. So, Ellis, sorry that we lost you. Lois, my condolences to her if she sees this. A good man was lost, and I'm sad to say that, you know, he was my friend and he's gone. The other thing I was going to mention to you is in the middle of town, I tell you, the traffic in this town, or I should say the drivers in this town, are nuts. And I'm not saying it's residents or non-residents, but you walk or drive through Montague Avenue, and people just ignore everything. They ignore crosswalks, they ignore speed limits. They actually don't even stop sometimes at the stop signs. I was just wondering if it would be worth a study or a discussion with the county to lower the speed limit on Montague Avenue. I know that's dramatic because it's only 25 now, but maybe going to 20, maybe having a few more signs up with additional enforcement. If the police have the manpower to station somebody out there for a whole day, I bet you would find a bunch of people that would not be happy at the end of the day. So I would just suggest maybe if it's possible to look into some measures, whether it's lowering the speed limit, further enforcement, some combination of the bunch. Montague Avenue is going to get worse and not better as the developments proceed. Just last night at the planning board, we approved changes to the Washington building. So, you know, as that all happens, it's just going to get worse, and people just don't seem to care. So, for what it's worth. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
Councilman Ben, Councilman Hinton, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Paul, thank you for your comments. I agree with you. I might even get it done for my own house, just because the idea of saving some money on energy is always a good thing, and I think the presentation we heard today kind of supports that. Our second reader, who didn't want to give his name, I was not at the event. I do not know what happened there. You know, there's always two sides to a story. I can tell you the times I'm around Councilman Cruz, he's polite and courteous, but I was not there, so I don't know what happened. So I'm going to leave it at that unless Councilman Cruz has anything he'd like to say. No. Okay. Mr. Blocky, the veterans, yes, I mentioned the veterans. When he went up for his lieutenant's test, I think it was, he was moved up in rank because he was a veteran. When you get points to move up if you're a veteran. Thank you for all your other comments. That all has to do with the police department, how they run the department, how overtime is run, and where it comes from. Has nothing to do with this council up here. It's set by the police department. As long as they don't go over their budgeting numbers, that's what they do. Who's paid more or less, I don't know. I don't know who works more hours, who works less hours, what their circumstances are around that. But that's all I can give you on that, unless, AJ, everything you want to add to that?
No, I can't speak for
Okay.
Chief Marks. This is.
Okay. Mr. Popoff, we're moving along. Okay, I understand there's a difference in numbers. That has to be negotiated between you and Michael. And Michael, I'm going to ask that we kind of work that through and see, how we can make that work, because I agree we should try to get this done this year, but, we have to be close to the numbers also. That's the other part of it. The pipe itself, I'm going to go back.
He has something.
What's that?
Mike.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Mr. Popov provided me with what I need tonight. I was waiting for that. We are in contact with our contractor to come and fill the easement pipe that runs to the lake. So I will be reviewing this, meeting with George in the coming days and making some progress. So
And the filling of the pipe will happen, when do you think that'll happen?
very soon,
Very soon, in the next week or two?
very soon.
Very soon.
In contact with our contractor.
All right, so, we're still working towards it. Let's try to get it done. I agree with you. We want to finish it, get it. I don't want to see you here anymore. I want you to be happy. I want us to get it done. So let's try to finish that.
Oh, come on, take that person.
Ed and Mike both with Ellis. I'm one of the few people up here that worked with Ellis on the council. My first year was with Ellis, and I learned a lot from him when he was here. He cared about the people. He was the guy that would go sit down and talk to people sitting in the audience. He was vital in our open space, putting that together. I think our Councilwoman Kent's going to speak about that. The playgrounds, of course, the veterans. He always started his report about the veterans. That was his biggest thing. He is sorely going to be missed, and I can tell you, even at an advanced age, when he left Pompton Lakes, he stayed in politics where he went into, I think it was Sussex, and kept being involved. He was another one of those Pompton people that wants to make the town better, and to do that, you have to be involved. So, he is sorely missed, and, prayers go out to him and his family. Mike, speaking about the crosswalks and the drivers, of course, we all know that Wanacue Avenue can get dangerous sometimes for people not stopping. We can bring it up with the county, Mike, and see what they say about the 20. They're not, I don't know how keen they'll be on that, but we can at least try. And I'm going to ask the chief also to maybe do some more monitoring of speeding there. And the crosswalks, I know we haven't done a crosswalk, whatever they call that, study or sting, whatever that's called.
Yeah, crosswalk detail.
Detail in a while, so maybe we should bring that back to remind people you're supposed to stop at the crosswalks. And part of that goes with education to the kids also during lunchtime. I don't blame the kids, but they're out and they're coming to lunch and they're just crossing the street anywhere they can. They're not really crossing at crosswalks. So maybe there's some education that has to be done at the school level to remind people when you come in out of lunch, go where you got to go, but you really should be crossing at the crosswalks. Okay, thank you. Okay, motion to approve the following minutes. Regular meeting minutes, October 8th, 2025. Closed session meeting minutes, October 8th, 2025. Can I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Councilman Bennett, Councilman Cruz, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Authorizing bills and claims as listed below. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilman, what was it? Bennett? Need a second?
Second.
Councilman Hinton, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Resolutions, anybody need anything pulled? Nope, okay, Liz.
Whereas the mayor and borough council of the borough of Pompton Lakes have reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, whereas the mayor, borough council of the borough of Pompton Lakes does not desire to remove resolutions for individual action from that agenda. Now therefore be it resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Resolution 25-346 through 25-354.
Motion to approve the resolutions.
Motion.
Councilman Bennett?
Second.
Council President Polidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Look at that, no ordinances, crazy. Okay, under my report, I want to thank our planner for coming down. That's important information that you gave us for the residential side of it and for the town side of it. We are working towards some of those goals. to try to limit our greenhouse gases, but some of those are big asks. You know, we're not going to go buy a whole new fleet of cars, and we'll look at the future, but homeowners themselves can do a lot in what to make their homes more safe. And like I said, I'm going to look into it myself, because you're going to save money at the end of the day on your own bill, so it's not a bad thing. I attended the car show, great event, always, as usual. The chamber does a great job in putting that together. You know, it was a beautiful day, and a lot of cars out there, a lot of people walking around, and, you know, it's funny, because you see the same people over and over again at the car show all the time, and they like coming to Pompton. They tell me all the time it's one of their favorite places to come and do the car show. Unfortunately, because of the rain date, it got bumped back a week, and there were other car shows going on that they travel in this circuit. So we lost a couple cars, but we'll be back to our regular date next year, and hopefully it'll be bigger and better than ever. Okay, under my report for meetings, I attended a meeting with our administrator. I attended a meeting with the Flood Advisory Board about services we'll be moving forward with. I had an ordinance committee meeting with Councilman Hinton and Councilman Cruz about some ordinances we might be changing. I attended the planning board meeting, which I'm sure Councilman Quinn will speak about. Another long meeting, but a good meeting, and a nice plan that was presented, I think. You know, it's the kind of improvements we're looking for in town. I want to remind everybody that, and I'm sure Councilman Quinn will remind everybody, October 26th is our Halloween hunt, 7 p.m. at Hirschfield. Come down, you should bring a flashlight with you, and it's open to all ages up till middle school. Don't forget, November 4th is Election Day, because we will not meet again between that. And November 11th is Veterans Day, and we will be having a ceremony here at 6:30. And that is my report. Council President Polidori.
Thank you. First, I do want to acknowledge the fact that a mistake was made and an apology should have been given. We were wrong in stating that you did not have to be forced to give your address, that you were to be asked. It was an oversight. I will apologize for that. I also attended the car show. Mayor and council are invited every year to hand out trophies. It was a beautiful, beautiful day. We did have about, I think it was 165 cars, so there were other competing events, but it was still a really nice turnout, and the weather was absolutely perfect. So I thank the BID and the Chamber of Commerce for hosting that. I also attended a candidates forum that was held by the Pompton Lakes High School PTA for the Board of Ed candidates. It was run very professionally. It was the first time that this particular PTA had done it in years. They used to host one every year. So it was really good to see the candidates come out, because we do have 5 individuals running for 3 seats, and everyone did really well. The questions were very diverse and covering enough topics to give enough information for voters to be informed. So I thank the PTA for hosting that. I've also see on the agenda tonight that we do have a resolution to close the street for Toys for Tots. Michael, if it's okay, I'd like to sit with you for a little bit this next week and just talk about some of the formalities as far as vendors and some things that we have in place that we've done every year. So if you have a few minutes, can we go over that?
Thank you.
Okay, and then perhaps we can even have the flyer drafted so we can start sharing it, because I see that they're starting to share the holiday stroll flyer.
Okay.
Okay. And then Pastor John from Pompton Reformed Church reached out and made a point of asking if we could bring some attention to the public that they do host a free community dinner every month. Residents, non-residents, anyone that would like to come out and enjoy a meal at the church for free is always welcome to. And they are asking that it be made public that those meals are made possible by donations of corporate organizations or other private entities in town, or residents that are interested. So if anyone would be inclined in participating in that, they are looking to help offset some of the costs for that dinner. So you can go reach directly out to the church for more information for that. And we thank them for doing that. It's usually very well attended. I look forward, Michael, thank you for addressing my questions about the mural. That will be on workshop for the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that. And Prevention Coalition, the next meeting is on the 27th, the evening of Monday. It is in the bid office on Wanacue Ave. It's also available via Zoom. All you have to do is go on the Prevention Coalition Facebook page, and you can find all the information for that. Here in Borough Hall on the 25th from 10 to 2, they're doing a prescription drug take-back day. So if you have prescription drugs in your house that are no longer being used and you would like to get rid of them in a safe manner, they can be brought here through the Prevention Coalition. And also, they printed their October tip. As I had mentioned in the last meeting, they were working with the high school students and Dr. Prispalinski to bring a health and wellness tip. This time it was about getting enough sleep, so please visit the Facebook page and look at that. It's really nicely done. Also, just to add some input on one of the comments that was made in open public session. So I had asked about this a couple times in some of those alternating streets that go beyond, I think it's Wanacue Ave A, the side streets along Wanacue Ave. I had to go to the VFW today before the meeting, and I was making a left-hand turn onto VFW Way, and there was traffic coming this way and that way. I had the ability to make the left-hand turn, and as I got halfway down the hill, there were, which you can't see from around the building, a line of cars coming up the hill at the same time, which put me in a situation where the oncoming car up the hill was not able to go in reverse and back into the parking lot because there were 3 other cars behind them, which meant that I had to go into reverse back onto Wanacue Ave with cars behind me. So we have a member from the planning board that spoke tonight and openly acknowledges that as we continue to approve buildings, traffic is going to get worse and driving is going to get worse on that road. So if there is something we can do, specifically that road, because it is, of all of those little side streets, probably the most traveled one, and it is not possible. How it's even legally a 2-lane street, I don't know, maybe you can shed some light on that. It is actually not possible for 2 cars to fit on that road.
Pretty sure, Councilman, there's an easement and it's private property, so that's why it's not regulated, at least by us or by Title 39, on it being a one-way.
Yes, it is privately owned, but is there nothing that supersedes the fact that it is actually presenting a hazard? I mean, what would you do in a situation if you had to put your car in reverse to reverse back onto Wanacue Ave, and if someone gets hit from behind or causes an accident?
Yes, I agree that it is an issue. As for us enforcing that legally, it would be, I think, something that maybe the borough would have to look into, but we can't do it as a municipality.
So we don't own that road off of Wanacue Ave. Can we not change the regulation on Wanacue Ave to permit left and right turns, or left turns, or whatever coming from one way, so that we
It's a county
just
road, so it's a county road.
force it somehow to be a one-way without actually changing that road?
So, yeah, I was gonna say, it's a county road, so the county would have to be involved in putting signage up if they even were to approve something like that into that roadway.
Well, to speak to that resident's point, I think traffic is going to get exponentially worse. So if it's bad now, I can't imagine how that situation is going to get better. So if there's anything we can do to look into that. And then a follow-up also on speeding, we talked about perhaps moving one of the lighted signs to the area where it drops from 35 to 25. Was that looked at?
Yeah, so there's the 2 of the signs from the county were removed today. The one that was, you're talking about the one on Colfax Ave?
Right,
Yeah, so that was moved closer to the border of Oakland, so now when residents are coming into town, they'll see that.
So it's that speed reduction spot where it goes from 35 to 25 we now have.
Yeah, it's a little bit past that. I think it was, from what I saw, it was maybe like 300-400 feet from where you come into, from where you come into town is where that sign was placed there.
Okay, perfect, thank you, that was quick. And I look forward to seeing everyone at the Halloween hunt, and don't forget to vote on November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to follow up with our acting chief, part of that issue, as we know, is the school, when they're getting out of school and everything's lined up, coming up that way. I know we can't address it, I know it's private property, but maybe, and I know you had a conversation already with the school recently. I don't know if that came up in part of your conversation, but it's probably worth visiting that with them again about, you know, they have individuals kind of directing traffic. And I know it's their own property and they can do that, but it makes it a little dangerous sometimes.
Yes, so they have either teachers or some other individuals that maybe cybersecurity want to be crossing all that stuff. But definitely a large part of the traffic is the release of Windsor School, at least at the school hour. And then you have all the teachers that kind of contracted with the VFW to utilize their parking lot as well. So that's why you have that big influx when school releases. But,
Oh, this was
I mean,
7 PM. I don't know
yeah,
what time the teachers get out, but.
Actually, the same thing happened to me like literally a week ago. I was going down and I had to back up.
But the question I have is, are they allowed to be their own flagmen for that traffic as long as it stays on that property, to send them up the hill?
Yeah, so I've never seen the teachers sending the cars specifically up that driveway. Sometimes they send the buses, usually the buses go back around and then they go back out the exit over by the railroad tracks. If there are cars getting through there, I don't believe it's the teachers that are there sending them there. They have a pretty efficient system, at least the last time I checked. It's been a while since I've been down there, but they usually do a good job sending them back up.
All right, so then you can agree with me, having experienced it yourself, that during times of high traffic, having to put your car in reverse and reverse back onto Wanacue Ave presents a safety issue.
100%. Yeah, there's no argument with what you're saying in that point. I think it's for us as a police department to enforce that with the property owner.
Well, explain what that means. Title 39 means we, as a police department, are not allowed on that property.
Yeah, so we can't, so it's a Title 39 property, which means it's private property, which Title 39 are the traffic codes that we use and that we go by the state of New Jersey for like speeding, failure to stop and yield, failure to stop at a stop sign. And if you were to get issued a ticket, it would be under Title 39. Since that is private property, we don't have any enforcement mechanism to enforce those type of things on that roadway.
On the roadway.
On that specific roadway. So for an example, when the A&P parking lot or the Acme parking lot before that was all private property. In order for us to have agreements with them so that we can enforce certain Title 39 statutes, we would have to enter into an agreement, or they might even have to apply to the state, so that can be a Title 39 parking lot, and then that gave us the ability to enforce certain statutes in that area.
Okay, so recently, we did pass something prohibiting certain left-hand turns out of the Meridia property onto Wanacue Ave. Could we not do the same thing on the other side of the street? I mean,
That was done through redevelopment, though. It wasn't done through this board or the planning board.
Okay, but I mean, there's a solution here. I'm just asking if we can look into controlling the traffic off of Wanacue Ave if we don't have a say on what happens on VFW Way.
So I'm sure there's certain types of mechanisms for that. I'm just not aware of them. I think they come from either at a council level or a county level, where it comes to that, where the police department is not involved in that setup.
Okay.
Thank you. Before I get to you, Councilwoman Kent, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, I mentioned at the beginning, the passing of our Andy Silverstein, who was a big supporter here in town, like I mentioned in the beginning. He was on the Board of Education for 15 years. He ran our planning board for at least 20, and in the last 10 or so years, he was chairman of our redevelopment property. He was involved in the town for a long time, a lifelong resident, and he's going to be surely missed by all the boards. He really put a lot of effort and time. Remember, he wasn't paid for any of those positions for many years, so he is going to be missed. Councilwoman Kent.
Thank you, Mayor. I find it ironic that the Passaic County Open Space Trust Fund, tonight of all nights, comes and gives us a $100,000 check, because I, along with Councilman Ellis Marples, went to many of those Passaic County meetings, along with Mrs. Doncost, and a number of local residents trying to get the Open Space Trust Fund passed. And that was back in 2000, when all of this issues became, how to get state money, how to get Green Acres money, Blue Acres money, open space money, when we never did have an open space tax. And I have to tell you that Ellis was instrumental in doing that. If people think that it was an easy task to get some of these projects done, I can assure you it was not. But Ellis was a dear friend to me and to this community. He served on Pompton Lake Town for the many years, and he did retire to Sussex County. His wife did pass, but she was a lovely lady, and she was a member of our women's club. He was a true leader. He was a statesman, and he was a councilman and a liaison to many of the environmental programs that we have, including Flood Advisory Board, the creation of the Hirschfield Park recreational playground equipment, which he genuinely referred to as the swing sets, And he was also very involved in establishing the groundwater and aquifer protection ordinances, and helping us fill the shade tree vacancies at the time. And he supported 100% the South End Committee, which eventually turned into the Open Space Committee, and the Environmental Protection Committee, which Ed and I served for many years. Also, he was a big part of the Passaic County Flood Organization, where we would meet in Wayne, along with one of the Wayne mayors at the time, Scott Romano, and that was to help us with our flooding down in the South End. His unwavering support allowed for the creation of the open space tax that we are now a huge participant in, and we have received grants ever since that passed. A few days before his passing, he called me, and we did go to see him in the hospital, and he was very sick. But he had a very happy message to me. He said he loved Pompton Lakes. He loved the people that he worked with. He certainly loved the people in Sussex County. He was a very active member of his clubs, veterans, Republican clubs, and he was running for the Board of Ed, and 82 years old. That's pretty good. So he never stopped. But his friendship and his dedication to the Pompton Lakes community will always be remembered. Anybody who met him knew his dedication and gave a perfect description of what Ellis was about. And I just wish he rests in peace. Okay. Our DPW report, let me just grab that if you don't mind. So, Dan, I apologize. Can't find it. Why can't I find it? Well, one of the comments that our superintendent had is that to help us save money, one of the things that the county has is with the open space group, they have, instead of having the grand falloons do some of the, I guess, entertainment at the Pompton Day, that we use the county environmental group. Evidently, they give us free information. So I would ask that maybe Karen Murphy and the Recreation Committee, I'll share this with you, and just take a look at that, because they are quite expensive. They're a few $1,000s. If we can do something like that for free, or for what we pay for already, that would be really, really, really helpful. So that's one thing. There are a couple of roads that are going to be paved. Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. Here it is. Waterville paving project. So Waterville road paving project that has started. We are now cleaning out our basins. You'll see the vacuum truck going into some of the basins, and they do that as part of our Stormwater Management Act, and so also to make sure that the storm drains are clean, so we do not, at wind time of heavy rain, the water flushes down out into the rivers, and it doesn't back up and flood our roads. And they're working their way, I guess, from the south end, and they're going towards the north. Our Joe Grill Field Improvement Project, which is a part of the Passaic County grants, that has started, and we're looking forward to finishing that up, hopefully before, it will be done before baseball. And the Hirschfield Storage Project building, he said, will start in a few weeks. So they are ready for that. I think one of the things that Director Murphy asked is that we get some of that material out of the current storage.
We're getting her a new storage.
You're going to get a new storage? Okay, she did ask that at the open space meeting. Okay. I look forward to the pumpkin hunt this coming Sunday. I want to congratulate the Chamber of Commerce and the Pompton Lakes Bid for the huge and successful car show. This past Sunday I couldn't attend, but I looked at all the pictures and I heard all the comments, and it looked wonderful. And it's a shame it had to be moved from the previous week, but it still was very successful. It always is, and I'm sure it always will be. I want to thank the Pompton Lakes Police Department, Captain Rodriguez, the CERT members. Al, I'm sure you were part of that with the CERT, and the Bloomingdale Search and Rescue Team. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I received a phone call that, can you come down to Lakeside School? We have a suicidal resident, and we need to find him. So at 3:10. I threw some lipstick on and put a pair of pants on and went down there, and I met with some other CERT members, and we toured different parts of the town to try to find this poor young man. We were there till about 5:30 in the morning, and I have to tell you, I was absolutely amazed how professional the Bloomingdale and the rescue teams were, and they're very sophisticated. They've got a whole search type of program that they put on your phone. So by using my phone, they could track me while we were touring in my car, all through different wooded areas. We stayed on the road, but they were wonderful. And I want to thank Deborah Ross, and I said Captain Rodriguez, and all of the other people that were involved with that. It was very successful. We did have a drone. They spotted the young man when, I guess around 6 o'clock in the morning, and they did bring him in and gave him the help he needed. So it ended up good. I also attended the open space meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about buying the additional playground equipment. And it's funny because when we did the original playground equipment, the price was $35,000 for that huge piece of equipment. It's now like a one piece of equipment, and the installation is like that kind of money. So we're going to talk about, Mike, there were some questions about the pricing, and they were not happy with some of the, they felt excessive pricing on some of that, and the material that they're going to use for the base, and the way that they came up with the design. So I'm going to ask that you and I sit and meet with the vendor on that before we decide to buy anything. Mayor, just unfortunately, there was a lot of questions, and they were very good questions. So the other thing that the open space group wanted to do is put up 2 pickleball courts in. Councilman Hinton went out with Mr. Shacatano from the group, and they looked at areas. However, when the engineer came up with a price, they were talking about $400,000. That's quite a bit of money to do for just 2 small pickleball courts. Again, when we first did the tennis courts, I think they were like $150,000. Now everything is $400,000. So the money is just it's really out of control to try to give our residents something. So what we've decided to do, and I think it's a good thing, is that we're going to restripe the existing tennis courts as they are for pickleball use. That'll give our residents a lot more pickleball time. It's a big sport with many people.
And the school has okayed that.
And yes, and that's the most important, that the school, because the school uses our tennis courts, and they are Pompton's park courts for their tournaments and for their their seasons. For the girls are in the September through November, and the boys play in the spring. So it's very important they have the right kind of courts to use, but they did approve it. So thank you, Mayor, for bringing that up. The other thing that came up at the open space meeting was the lightning detection system. I brought that up at the last council meeting, and we were told that the current system that was already installed by the Board of Ed should cover all of the fields, which would include Joe Grill and Willow Field. However, Bobby, I think there was a misunderstanding about the alarm system. So what happened was our OEM coordinator, Al Evangelista, came to the open space meeting, and during the public session, he mentioned how this whole system is going to work, and we figured out that it's not the system that we need, it's the warning, it's the alarm system, because it not only gives you a siren type of thing, but it also does like a blinking, something that blinks that you can see. And so we went back and Councilman Cruz, I want to thank you for your going back to the superintendent of the school. So I think we have a better understanding how this works, and I think it's something that the open space, because it is open space properties, and Willow Field was purchased with open space. They are agreeable to up to $12,000 to come out of the open space fund to purchase this. Now, I told them I will bring that to the mayor and council. I don't know if that expenditure can be used for that. That's something we'll have to discuss with Michael, but they feel that it's a part of it's a part of the whole, it should be a part of the whole field system, and because the minute it rings and you see this, you have to leave. There's no question about it. And there have been deaths to people and injuries, serious injuries because of lightning. So anyway, that's something that we're going to have to bring up, and we won't vote on it tonight or anything.
And we've
but-
had a discussion in that if open space can pay for it fully, or maybe only 50% because it's matching.
Yes, and that's what I said. Or, like we can't purchase everything, for other things, but because it's a part of the field operation, and it will be down in Willow Field, and Joe Grill can hear it, so, but that only up to that amount. So we can talk about that, but that's what they want. All right, thank you. And the name of the turtle ribbon cutting at Hirschfield Park is Kevin Shelley, and the two second grade winners were Nolan Thompson and Sophia Bulzomi. And we are going to have a ribbon cutting on Tuesday evening. I believe that is the 28th of October. So you're all invited to attend. I attended the Shade Tree Commission meeting. The fall planting will be starting this month. I also want to thank the Pompton Lakes Police Department for the traffic study done on Colfax Avenue. I know we had residents come here, and I thought that was very warranted, and I'm curious to see how we're going to proceed with that. I think that's an important one. Mike, where are we going with the DuPont DEP settlement agreement? With that letter?
Workshop tonight.
Okay, thank you. Parking on Lambert Street. Last meeting, we had residents, some wanted one-way parkings or one-side parking, and some said they didn't want that. So we took a look at that. I took a look at that. What I found was one very large truck and a resident who owns a big truck and trailer with a boat, and it's parked in this very substandard street. And the homes were probably built in the 1900s, so it's not very conventional for parking for a lot of people. And needless to say, this large vehicle with a boat parked there overnight really does impact on anybody getting in and out, including the residents. So anyway, I would like to see that addressed. I know I spoke to Captain Rodriguez on this matter, and I know you've had some kind of meetings on it, but I think we have to address, you can't just park a boat and a trailer in front of anybody's house for
Well, there's certain
weeks.
requirements within our ordinance, and they fall within those requirements right now.
Well, if they do, then, if they do, I think we have to take a look at that, because I wouldn't want this big boat and trailer in front of my house for days on end, and you really can't get in and out of that street. So, anyway, it's something I know you had a meeting on that, I'm sorry I wasn't there, but I think we have to take a look at that in order to make sure the residents have access, that the fire trucks and the ambulance can get in and out. And I know, Michael, you mentioned something about doing something with Summit Avenue. Again, I would, in expediency, you were talking to maybe doing an engineering study. I'm just asking that if the study that was done in September of 2024, there was no incidents, there were no accidents, there was only less than 5 miles an hour. The cars were clocked less than 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, so I guess maybe 27, 28 miles an hour. Then I just want to know how do you justify how do you justify that engineering study, because that's quite expensive to do. And there is a report, and they already did an engineering study with Chief Clark. And I do have that, and he basically said, Chief Clark said that there was really not a problem. So I'm very conscious about spending money. I'll spend money, but I want to make sure it's done where we really need it. Because anytime you hire the engineer, I get a $250 bill an hour. I want to make sure we do that right. And that is my report.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Quinn.
Thank you. I'm glad to see the DuPont settlement will be workshop later this evening, and I hope that everyone on this dais will join me in putting as much pressure as we can on the state in order to retrieve at least some of the money that's been set aside to the state. I signed checks. Michael, the survey I brought to your attention, will that be presented tonight?
No, probably at the next meeting.
Okay. Well, I look forward to it. It was an environmental study. It has a couple of things that we've been talking about the last few meetings in it, and very eye-opening. I also attended the Environmental Protection Committee, the Board of Education Forum at the high school. I attended the bid meeting. Last night, I attended the Planning Board meeting. A project was approved for the Washington Building on Wanacue. They will be taking off the second floor, replacing it with new steel and expanding it very slightly to accommodate 8 residential units. The same amount of units will remain downstairs for the commercial area. There are still variations, but the variations have been lessened, although not as much as maybe we'd like, but any increment is great. It will be a big improvement to the town and the look of the downtown. In addition, the Flood Advisory Board needs members. And from Rec, Halloween Hunt at Hirschfield, Sunday, 7 p.m. Holiday Stroll, December 6th. Breakfast with Santa, December 13th. Pickleball has 2 sessions, one starting November 1st, the second December 13th. If interested, call 973-715-5234. And finally, Walking Club, Tuesday and Thursday, Lakeside School in the hallways. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank our Borough Administrator, Mike Corelli, and our DPW. The new signs in the south end look great. Thank you for taking care of that. Also want to thank Mike Corelli for getting us recertified as a New Jersey film ready community. The car show, well attended. I actually entered one of my cars this year, first time. Didn't win anything, but it was a good experience. And I'd like to congratulate the Pompton Lakes High School Marching Band. They placed first in the Wayne Valley competition a couple weekends ago, and then last Saturday they performed at MetLife Stadium. On the field, it was pretty cool. And they won 4th place overall, but with a special award for the best color guard. RDA was canceled. The redevelopment agency did not meet this month, and Historic Commission meets next Tuesday. And that's my report.
Thank you. Councilman Cruz.
Thank you, Mayor. Just quickly, I would just want to send my condolences to the Silverstein and Marbles family before I begin my report. The Ordinance Committee met on Thursday, 10/16, to discuss a number of issues or things that have been reported by residents. One of them in particular was Ordinance 1013.5, which is chicken, ducks, and other domestic poultry or fowl. This was to address concerns with roosters in town, and we received a few complaints on those. The next one was regarding fences and retaining walls, and this is Code 190-16 and the zoning code. Basically, we were looking to see or discuss increasing the size of fences in your backyard. Currently, it's set at 6 feet. It was proposed 8 feet, but at the end of the day, that was still left up for discussion for the workshop. The other item for discussion was Lambert Street. This was discussed already at a prior meeting. Obviously, there's concerns right there, obviously, for some of our first responders being able to enter that street if there's cars parked on the left and right side, side by side. An engineer has provided 2 options, and I'm pretty sure we'll discuss those in workshop, but we're still looking to hopefully improve and make it safer, obviously, for the first responders to get there. And let me see, and then the one last item I just want to remind everybody, so Ordinance 10-2, 10-12.2, feeding wildlife animals. We were discussing the deer population in town. In addition to that is also feeding the deer. Please note that feeding the deer is illegal. The state, correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, but the state is going to be providing or initiate a survey of the town right, to kind of conduct a survey of the town to see where we are with the deer population. I think at that point, once we have more information, we understand the numbers that we have in town, we'll be able to move forward and see what plans they have in place to hopefully address those. And a lot of that with the fence height had to do with the deers as well. The deers entering the property, damaging the property as well. So all of this is going to move to workshop, and we'll be discussing this further. Michael, I'm sure will have more information regarding this, and that'll do it for my report.
Thank you. Councilman Hinton.
Just making notes, Mr. Mayor. First, I have a reading. A motion to approve the request of Councilwoman Paula Dory to close Lakeside Avenue from the intersection of Lakeside Ave and Wanacue Ave through to Lakeside and Colfax Ave between the hours of 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Saturday, December 6th, 2025. Rain date, December 7th, 2025, for the annual Toys for Tots train. Police, first aid, and fire departments have been notified.
Can I have a second? Council President Polidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Let's see. I did not attend the open space meeting. I asked to be excused for my big birthday celebration, and thank you for excusing me. Councilwoman Kent had a report on that. She did very well. But just on another note, on the pickleball courts in the town of Wayne, I was shown pickleball courts that are raised up. They're not paved. So I don't know if that's a cheaper way to go, a more viable way to go in a flood area.
It's by the Board of Education, across the street.
I brought it up to Michael. I think he was going to look into it.
Yes.
So it's another
Thank you.
way to go. Councilman Cruz just mentioned about the feeding of deer. Just want to let everybody know that, make them aware that it is deer breeding season now. And for the next month, they'll be running across the roads, so be careful when you're driving. I attended the Fireman's Open House, which was a pretty nice little event. I hadn't been there in a long time. I learned quite a few things. They asked me if I wanted to dress up in a fireman's uniform. I said if I had the pleasure of carrying ex-councilman Mike Simone up a ladder, then I would try it, but he kind of nixed that idea. So. But it was very educational. Talking to ex-councilman Mike Simone, I brought up about speed bumps in town, and he's very well versed on it. He talked about bumps, humped, and raised tables. So there's a lot of different ways we can go. I know that we've had this conversation before. I just come out of Tony's Pizza yesterday and almost got ran over. To the conversation of people speeding through town. All of us have been up Route 23 around the Kinnelawn curved area, and they have what they call little ripple bumps. Now, it's not a big bump, but if it slows traffic down, if we can look into it through the police department and with the county, I only sit here trying to solve problems. That's all. I might cause a problem or two, but I try to solve problems.
I didn't say that.
Huh?
I didn't say that.
Oh, no, you didn't, but we've had our discussions at the podium before, Mr. Mayor. So, I mean, if we can look into that, I don't know how or the procedure that we do look into that, but we need to solve this problem. Dawes Highway, somebody was talking to a resident, and kid flew down there, had to be doing 60, 65. So we have this issue all over town. So it really needs to be addressed. I had a seniors meeting on the 16th. I had brought up with the seniors about bumps, humps, and tables. A table is a wider raised paved area, usually in a sidewalk area, I think, or a crossing area. And none of them had any problems with having them installed in the roadways if it made it safer for pedestrians and traffic. Then I had an MUA meeting, just a reminder that Sunday night started the hydrant flushing, and they'll be flushing the hydrants for at least the next 2 weeks. So, once again, if you have brown water, run your cold water spigot until it clears up. At the senior meeting, they talked about flu shots being given by our nurse over at St. Mary's on the 22nd, and on Mondays here at the council, the municipal building.
Do they have a time for that?
She didn't give me a time when the nurse is here. Michael, do you know when the nurse is here?
I think she gets here at 4, right? 3 o'clock? 3?
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it's not all day, so it starts.
Right, that's for flu shots. Then we had thank you, Mr. Mayor, for letting me come to the ordinance committee meeting, talk with Patrick, and it's usually his job, but I was able to, he stepped down and I stepped in. Very interesting, very, learned a lot. First disagreement I had with Councilman Cruz about the height of the fences, but that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to discuss things and come up with solutions that are best for all the residents. We talked about the discharge ordinance in town, the feeding of wildlife, especially deer. The survey that was just done was understory destruction by overpopulation of white-tailed deer. At a later date, we're going to have a deer actual count in town to see if per square mile what the number is and recommendations from the state as to what to do. Just on the news tonight before I got here, there was 4 coyote attacks in Saddle River. When you have an overpopulation of one animal, predators come in to cut, it's a food source. So,
don't they have a deer hunt in Saddle River?
Yes, they do.
Oh,
Yes, they do. You want to keep going?
No, I'm just
okay, all right. I attended the car show. Car show was a very good event, like the mayor had said. It was our rain date, so it conflicted with the Pequannock car show. I had a negative comment and a positive comment, mostly all positive comments. I was able to hand the trophy to my brother as a positive comment for he took second place for his Corvette. So that was an honor to do that for him. On a negative note, I saw a political sign on one of the cars for the race here in town. Now, as far as all the years I've been going to the car show, that shouldn't be politics involved in that. And I just thought it was a poor taste. Whether Republican, Democrat, or Independent, it doesn't matter who was running or what. But I just thought it was poor taste to have a current political race sign on a vehicle.
But it was on a private car, right?
It was on a private car, yes. I won't say who the individual is, we know him, but I just thought that it was not appropriate. Mayor, you came later on in the day, you may not have seen it.
No, I don't think we can regulate private cars.
Well, this is a public event put on by BID, and BID can regulate that.
Well, that would be up to BID, yeah.
So I just wanted to make that comment. The MUA meeting I attended, I just talked about the hydrant flushings. And we talked about police traffic control for when they need it. And the other thing I had was, also, Councilwoman Kent was talking about our fall tree planting. And from what I understand, it's going to happen tomorrow.
Okay.
So I was called by the tree grower. And let's see. Oh, also, I've been talking about the railroad crossing at Schuyler Ave. I've been in discussions with Michael, and Michael came up. They finally sent the paperwork to him, and the way it looks, I asked him, and he said yes, that he'll have the attorney review possibly that contract. Right now, we've been paying for an inspection of the Schuyler Avenue crossing since 1962. I figured it's somewhere over $500,000 that we paid to the railroad, and I don't see why we're doing that. So is this contract goes for infinity, or are we gonna be paying the railroad millions? Now, we don't pay for inspection of the crossing down near the Oakland line, I just forgot the name of the road, for the apartments. And from what we understand, we don't pay for the crossings on Wanacue and Ringwood Avenue. Of course, those are county roads. So we're looking into it, and hopefully we can come up with a solution to what I think is a waste of money.
I agree with you.
So, and that is my report.
Okay, thank you. Attorney's report.
Just briefly, Mayor, I understand, first I just want to recognize and acknowledge the efforts of the administration to meet their obligations under Oprah with, to provide timely and complete responses. And to the extent there are concerns raised about those responses, I think it's good for everyone up here as well as the general public to be aware that there are, based upon the sort of Oprah requests that are made, where it involves personnel records, there are competing and conflicting obligations that the administration is under then. We have an obligation to be completely transparent to the public, but we also have an obligation to protect the privacy of our employees. And so when certain records are requested involving personnel matters, involving payroll matters, there is quite a bit of redaction that needs to be done, because quite a bit of that information, I mean, when you ask for payroll records, people are entitled to know what the borough pays their employees, but to the extent they make withholding decisions, what taxes they're paying, what health insurance they have, those are private decisions that they make, and so it requires us to redact that information. We have to protect that information. Just as we were talking earlier, and some concerns were raised about privacy interests of the good folks here that come to these meetings, we also have to protect the privacy of our employees. And so I just want to say that, again, the administration makes its best effort, and I can tell you they're on the phone with me to do everything that's required of them under the Oprah laws. But at the same time, we do owe an obligation to our employees to protect their privacy. And that's a carve out in Oprah, and there's very, very strong case law that supports that. So I just wanted to put that on the record. That's all I have, unless there are any questions.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you. Administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. So please be advised that the Albany Ave and Waterville Ave improvement project, again, which consists of the resurfacing of Albany Ave from Riverview Road to Riverdale Road, and the full length of Waterville Ave has begun. The first 6 weeks will consist of stormwater management, drainage, and concrete and curbing work. Milling and paving is expected to be complete in the month of November, and residents will receive a second notice prior to the milling and paving dates. The project work hours are 7:30 to 4 o'clock p.m., and no major traffic detours at this time during this preliminary work. Our contractor will be striping the Hirschfield Park basketball court this Saturday. I did have concerns about timing with the Halloween hunt. The paint does dry within 10 minutes. Okay. So we will be okay. The court will be striped and ready to go for the hunt. So we're looking forward to that. As Councilwoman Kent indicated, we did hold a pre-construction meeting on the Hirschfield Park Phase 1 improvements project, which again consists of the renovations to our storage shed at Hirschfield Park. We're in the process of color selections right now. We're working with the rec director, the DPW director, our architect, our contractor, to put together good selections for a permit submittal to the borough. As was indicated before, I am working with the rec director to relocate all of her materials inside the storage shed. There seemed to be a consensus that we would need a new container to place these items in, but I am working with Karen to try to consolidate and throw out some old items. Maybe we can save money on a new storage container and try to consolidate some things. So I thank Karen for her work on that. The construction will begin on November 1st. The project is expected to be substantially complete by the end of the year and punch list items throughout the remainder of the winter into the spring. The county's pedestrian bridge replacement project will have minimal impact to our project, and we are working with the borough engineer to come in after the bridge replacement and the storage shed renovation to hopefully pave the walking paths next year. We do have excess funding for this project. We had budgeted $450,000 for this storage shed. Again, at the time, we were looking at a 2-story building. We came to realize that we could only do a 1-story building. So we do have significant surplus on this project. So we do believe that walking paths, fitness equipment will be able to be funded by this excess equipment, that we will not have to issue new debt, seek open space funding, or local open space funding. So that's good news. Let's see. I am excited to announce that we are launching a new weekly digital newsletter for the borough, which will be sent out every Friday morning to our residents. We have put together a registration process for the email. It's going to be an email newsletter. That's going to be on our borough newsletter page on the borough website, and we're going to post it on social media tomorrow. Very short, to the point, events, meetings, public safety updates. If anyone has anything, please contact me. And, you know, we're looking forward to it. We did have a newsletter years ago that I put together. We did have over 2,500 subscribers at the time. The list has since been lost, but we are looking forward to getting back to doing that. So thank you for your support on that. Meridia, as you may have seen, is now mobilized for the Civic Center. They're siding the building right now. The inside has been substantially framed. We're looking at electrical and plumbing work. The HVAC system is being replaced. The attic has been built, very large attic for storage for the borough. So we are looking forward to that progress. And then, as mentioned at the meeting, at the last council meeting, we do have a representative from the Passaic County Division of Economic Development. The new director, Giancarlo D. Leonardo, will be at our next meeting to offer his support to the community and provide an overview of the county services that's available to us and to the business owners. To follow up on 2 points from the meeting, the councilman's point about the drainage fee to the railroad, we've been paying $700 per month for this drainage fee that they call it to the New York, Susquehanna, and Western Railroad Corporation. It looks like this fee was subject to litigation in 1999. So we're going to work with Dave to figure out exactly what that decision was, since it was such a long time ago, and, you know, work with the councilman on that.
Good.
And then just to circle back on the VFW Way issue of traffic, we had brought this up prior. Another private condominium association wanted us to interject in their road safety procedures, and it got us thinking about, you know, how would we help them in that regard? And I think maybe not a solution, but just what would be the process that we would have jurisdiction over that road? And again, the captain mentioned Title 39. The private property owner would have to convey the road to the borough, either in fee or by a deed of dedication. And then the governing body would need to formally accept the road by resolution, and then the deed would be recorded with the county, and it would become a public road. The problem with that is it may require a subdivision or site plan approval by the private property owner, which comes with costs. And if the road becomes public, it acts as a lot line, and the subdivision may be required at that point. And then the third point is we, the borough, might not want to accept conveyance of a public road if it's not up to current road design standards. You know, we would be on the hook to make sure that the road is safe to the public, and we may have to do improvements to the road, so there could be a cost to that. So that could be something else that would be considered. But, you know, it certainly could be done, and we are going to look at it. So that's just the process on that.
So let me ask you a question about that then. If we were to take ownership of the road and we would have to maintain it to current standards, how is it not the obligation of whoever owns any roadway to make sure that it's not up to current standards if they are allowing public pass on it?
Yeah, that would probably result in property maintenance department. So we will look at that as well, and I was thinking about that before too. But we have some options, so I think we'll report back on the matter.
So if the property owner doesn't want public access up and down this road because of the issues, she can put something up, a barricade, and say, don't come in. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's like a driveway. It's
You know,
basically like a driveway.
I would defer to Dave, but
Yeah.
it's a private driveway.
Yeah, if it's a private driveway, they can do that as long as there's no easements or rights of way across it.
Which
So-
there are not.
No,
We don't-
that's
I don't
my
know if-
understanding that there are
We'd have
not.
to check.
Okay,
There might
that
be
was my
absence-
understanding.
In the absence of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Okay.
absolutely can. They can preclude.
Maybe that's something
public
we should
traffic.
just not have people drive down there, because it is a danger.
Well, that would be their choice, though. It's their.
That would be
We have no
her, yeah.
say on it, right? It would be up to
that's
them.
not our-
Well, if it's not held to current standards, right, and there is an incident where someone is injured, that falls on the property owner?
That would, yeah, that would
Yeah.
absolutely fall on the property.
But we can
owner.
certainly-
As Michael said, it's a property management issue as
Right.
well. You know, if we think that that it's actually a hazard that the property owner is maintaining, then, you know, property management, you know, we have a say in that, whether they need to address something. But it's really their liability, it's not us.
Okay, so I took a tour of the new Civic Center, and it's coming along very nicely. It's a lot of, like Michael mentioned, there's a lot of storage up there that we're gonna save some money on by taking where we're paying to put our storage and put it up there. They also, it wasn't part of the plan that was put in place, are replacing the AV and heating system. And there is gonna be a little heat put upstairs to make sure the paperwork stays nice. It's gonna be a women's locker room, 2 new bathrooms, a new kitchen, two new meeting rooms, new walls, new furniture, new floors, new windows. You can see now, if you take a look when you leave, they're putting siding on the building. It's gonna be a nice looking building when all said and done. So I appreciate the time that they're putting in. We did have to push them a little bit, but we're there and they're doing it. Any questions for the administration?
Yeah, just another question or a statement. The 5 different driveways going down towards the VFW, none of them are public roadways, are they? They're all
No.
private driveways?
Well, some of them are completely private. Some of them have easements between the two groups. One owns half, the other half owns another half.
Right, but any of the 5
None of them
are not public roads?
I think we
for-
have an easement. I think we own half of the Mac side.
But the other easement on which one?
On Mac's driveway going down, I think we own a part of that.
Oh, okay. All right, down towards the footbridge?
Yeah.
Because that's access also for kids?
But by the railroad track, the railroad owns part of that, and the property owner owns part of that. VFW is owned by the school, and I think somebody else. I'm not even sure if the VFW has an easement, I don't know.
Can we figure that out? Can we get a better understanding of each one of those roads, who owns it, and you know,
Right.
whether they're up to code or not up to code, or?
So this came up at a bid meeting last year,
Yeah.
you know, because the bid's looking to invite business and to have good amenities, and discussion ensued on, you know, can the bid pay for the paving of these roads or alleyways? And we came to find out that the borough only owns one alleyway/road, and that's right next to the former Town and Country Deli. And we did pave that last year, but any and all other roads or alleyways are not owned by the borough. And
Well, that's
we-
on the other side of the
That's on
street.
the, yeah.
That's not accessible by vehicle.
Right, alleyway/road, you know, either or. We looked at everything.
So those 4 skinny roads,
Those are not borough owned.
They're all private.
There's 5 of them
5?
on that side.
Yeah.
One of them, I believe, is a one-way already. Now, who?
How about the tracks?
Okay, so
Yeah,
that's
that's-
also privately
that's
owned, the
to
one
go
by the
out.
tracks?
Yes, I think Fleischer's
Yeah.
owns half, and the railroad owns half.
So a
Yeah.
private owner took the initiative to make their own one-way on a road and put up signs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can confirm we own none of the.
I thought we owned part of the Mac's driveway.
I don't see that.
And that's legally enforceable, to put up your own traffic signs?
Well, it's not legally enforceable because it's not Title 39, it can't be enforced
So
there.
if I want to drive the other way down, I don't understand. This doesn't make sense to
The
me.
property owner can say, hey, stop doing that.
I feel like maybe there's a better way that we can do this.
We're gonna look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So really, Babcock is the only one that that's a borough road, correct?
Correct.
Well,
That's right.
Babcock
Other
and
side of the
and the alleyway between the bank and the Washington.
Those alleyways, yes. But the only
Just take a
road,
drive in there.
borough road is
Yes,
Babcock.
on that side, yes. All right, any other questions for the administration? Nope.
I just
Okay.
have a question for our attorney. So, I'm not sure why or how or when it became a law that you don't have to give your name or an address?
Well, it's not a law. It's just, it's really more in the wake of Daniel's law that said, we're going to protect the addresses of judges and police involved, individuals involved in police enforcement. The practice of, which is pretty much a universal practice of asking for name and address at public meetings. And I think there's a good argument for it. I think it gives the board the ability to understand the person's perspective on something. That, and this all came up, again, the first time here last month, that started changing the practices of some of the municipalities in acknowledgement of Daniel's laws. And as, acknowledging that perhaps the Fourth Amendment does give them the right not to state their address, or their name. So the practice has been, I guess, over the last 2 or 3 years, municipalities can continue to ask for that, but not to press or require it. And as I said, I looked into it since the last meeting, and that's what I found.
So it's not a law, it's a policy?
It's not a specific statute, but it's constitutional law is an evolving thing, right? The law is a living thing. So we come to say, hey, maybe our approach on this has been wrong. Maybe we need to rethink that. And so people have rethought it, and they're just not requiring that now.
So we still can ask?
You can ask.
But they don't have to say?
Correct.
Okay. Because I've never seen it in the New Jersey municipality book.
Yeah,
we all go to this thing. I've never seen
It's not like a
it.
watershed moment where the statute was
changed.
It's
a policy.
It is. Yeah, and I can't say that there are cases on it, but I imagine there are. I imagine you could find cases if you were to really look. I polled my partners, and they said, yeah, all of our towns have started, have had this, and so.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Workshop, amendment for the fire bylaws.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have been provided a copy of a new set of bylaws.
Freezing. Like there's cold air blowing.
Yeah.
Can you turn this off? I'm freezing.
Liz, I can't believe you got it this cold. I love it, but I can't believe you got it this cold.
It
was hot when we
Sorry, I
walked
didn't
in.
interrupt, but
And I'm
now it's
never
like-
cold. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't go to I forgot AJ. His report.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just
Like,
blow, it hasn't
I
stopped.
can't even
You can't think.
know
So
where to
cold.
hide.
I'm sorry, Acting Chief, you have a report too, I'm sorry. Go ahead, before you do the workshop.
So real quick, I just wanted to reiterate the cooperation for the missing, we had a missing and endangered adult. So I wanted to, just take a minute to thank Bloomingdale Search and Rescue. They were a big help. Thank the Passaic County Sheriff's Department. They always come out and assist us with a lot of their assets. Also, the state police and CERT. CERT definitely came out in the middle of the night, helped us out. And it ultimately ended up with us finding an individual at daybreak. So.
And I've been to numerous of those events. It's a community group of people getting together with CERT and police and fire and first aid and other towns involved. It's a whole thing going on. It's well orchestrated, it's well organized, and they have an agenda of how they're going to do this, and they follow that agenda. And the last couple that I've been involved, they've found who they were looking for. Sometimes it takes a day or 2 or 3, but they know what they're doing. So my kudos goes to that whole group, and a lot of them are volunteers, to be honest. A lot of them are volunteers.
Yeah, it was all hands on deck. We had to call in a number of our officers as well. But everybody worked together, and we ultimately found the individual and got the individual help they needed.
Okay, thank you. All right, now, workshop. Okay, you have a question? Sure.
Yeah, can I just have a question for the chief? Sure. Chief in charge? Just talking about the community energy plan, and just an observation that I've made through the years. Is there a reason why police cars sit out in the driveway running?
It could be for a number of reasons. So, when we have our officers that are working, our officers work 12-hour shifts. If they come in on an arrest or they come in to quickly use the bathroom, when we turn off all our cars, it's filled with a bunch of electronic equipment. So we have computers in there. They're logged in to multiple different programs that they need to function throughout their day. So it could be that, or it could be just a cold day and they don't want to get into a freezing cold car, because essentially that's their office for 12 hours.
Right.
So I would say those are the main reasons, but obviously if they're going to be in the building for an extended period of time, which usually that could be for an arrest, they may or may not turn it off. But those would be the reasons why they're usually.
Yeah, because I noticed that there's multiple drivers all the time of police cars, and I don't know, like, who has the key? Does the key stay in the car? And I was just curious as to why the cars are.
Yes, so all our vehicles, the way they're set up, so for instance, when we go to calls and things of that nature, we have to get out of we're getting out of the car, we're responding, and the car stays on, especially if we're on like a main road. If we turn the car off, then our lights don't stay on. So the key always comes with us, the key fob, and then the way it's set up is that if somebody were to happen to get in it, they can't leave unless you have
The fob.
Yes.
Okay, just curious, observation I made. They're talking about energy and cutting costs, so, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So we've been provided a copy of a new set of bylaws from the Pompton Lakes Volunteer Fire Department. Several changes have been adopted by the fire department and are now up for recommendation and approval of the governing body. So just to go through some of the changes that were officially voted on.
Why don't you just start first, Mike, that they set their bylaws and how they do that they've had their own set of bylaws that they're doing.
Right, well, Dave, I'm gonna, we'll finish with that.
Sure.
So the fire department voted on April 7th, 2025, at their department meeting for several changes. Change number 25, which is included in your packets, has to do with page number 7, section 1, article 3, officers of the fire department. They just further codified and clarified the administrative officers of the department shall consist of one administrative secretary. I think there was confusion between the department secretary and the administrative secretary that's paid. So the department's just, further codifying and clarifying that. And then change number 26, which is on page 19 of your packet, goes on to further clarify section 2, article 7, regarding the recording secretary of the fire department, and just further clarifies the duties of the recording secretary as part of the fraternal officers of the fire department. And then changes number 27 and 28, the fire department is including the borough's social media commenting policy as part of their bylaws. And they have also included our most recent ordinance number 25-06, which governs workplace conduct and policies that we adopted earlier this year. The fire department, from my understanding, also took the opportunity to retype the bylaws. I guess the bylaws were from the 1960s, 70s, 80s, whatever it may be. So they took the opportunity to rewrite those. I guess there were some questions about that, and I'll defer to the borough attorney to maybe give a summary, the process of how the fire department approves their bylaws. Maybe we start there.
And this is workshop, so we're not voting on anything right now.
No, that's correct. I think what the fire department is anticipating is that we're workshopping it this evening with the hope of having a resolution at the next meeting approving their revised bylaws. And so as we were saying, the fire department has historically and to this day, they write their own bylaws. And they have a process that they follow when they revise their bylaws, and there's a section in here that addresses how those revisions are done. And what happens is they meet, they vote on it, they they propose these changes, they post them for a month, then they vote on them at their next meeting of the department. And then if, whatever is approved, that comes up to this council then for us to approve prior to their adoption. So that's happened. My understanding is that the department did approve the substantive changes that Michael just went through. They did, if you've seen the old bylaws, these were typed, I think, pre-select IBM Selectric. So what they've done is, and I did a side-by-side comparison today and saw no substantive changes other than the ones that Michael referred to. They put it into a Word document, and there's good reason for that, because now when they revisit it, they can make changes without having to retype it or just attach addendums and the like. So I did go through it. I did not see any additional substantive changes. I would hope that if there are concerns within the department, that there are changes that perhaps I didn't do it word by word, I did it section by section, and they all look consistent with one another. That they would address that at their next meeting. But from my perspective, yeah, the changes speak for themselves. I think they're I have no concerns about the changes they've made, and so they will be up unless we can talk about them. But in the absence of some question or some concern, they will be up for approval at our next meeting,
which is a month from now. So theoretically, if the fire department wanted to bring the changing to Word back to the
they
group,
could.
They still could do that.
Yeah, they could.
And bring it back.
They could because they meet between now and our next meeting. So any concerns within, I would think would be addressed there. But as I said, I didn't see any basis anything that raised any red flags to me. So.
And the changing of, just for the newer people, the changing of the bylaws, times change and things change. So I'm taking, it's good responsibility on their part to try to stay with the times and change things. And we added our own ordinance to kind of oversee that a little bit. I'm glad they included that in their bylaws. So that's good. So any questions on that? Nope. Okay. Next.
Okay, next on the agenda is a public comment letter that was prepared by the borough attorney, dated October 10th, 2025, submitting official comment on behalf of the borough for the DuPont Chemours NJDEP settlement. So, our thoughts was, to share it with the governing body, to share the letter. If you had any questions or concerns, barring none, that we would submit this official document for public comment. And I'll defer to Dave for any further.
Yeah, I forget whether this came up at workshop or during my attorney's report at our last meeting, but there's, to the extent that there's been a lot of discussion of the DuPont settlement. The settlement, actually, it's a consent order, a judicial consent order, was published in the New Jersey Register on September 2, and that opens up a 60-day window for comments to be provided. And I just thought that provided, that's really the formal official way for us if we're gonna make comments on this. It's fine to make resolutions and to reach out to folks, but if you're gonna make an official comment that's gonna go on the record and be published in the New Jersey Register, that's the way to do it. And so that's based on our conversation at our last meeting, I did put together a draft letter for you to look at and consider, and I think you have that. So, we raised in there that it's been a history of unchecked contamination, traumatic impact on the borough. As a means to correct this perceived oversight, Borough Council urges the department to consider a revision that articulates its commitment to share a small percentage of each of the natural resource damages to be paid to the state with each of the 4 impacted municipalities. And those include, Greenwich Township, Carneys Point, Farland, and of course, this borough. as we talked about at the last meeting, the natural resource damages to be paid to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection that are specific to the damages done here in Pompton Lakes are $75 million. So I don't think it's too much to ask of the state that a portion of that be shared with the borough to acknowledge the trauma and the burden that's been on this borough, both a financial impact it's had on it, the emotional impact it's had on the borough. And I've also incorporated in there the idea that, there be also an avenue opened up where in the event we see a need for either remediation or rehabilitation, that we be able to go to the state and seek, whether it's in the form of a grant or something from those monies, seek a portion of those monies. So 2 avenues. And lastly, just asking them to give us some accounting, on some sort of, whether it's a quarterly or an annual basis on, where's that money going? This is $75 million for, while we acknowledge that the resources, in the state of New Jersey, and I think in most states, those resources are considered the property of the state. In fact, there's no, in a sense, it's a legal fiction because those aren't resources that the state was using. This is they consider it just a damage to a resource that was there. And even though they suffered no real damage because the groundwater wasn't being used for anything, they weren't selling it. It's kind of an opportunity cost sort of thing. Just based upon that, we ought to be able to share in that. Again, it's really this borough that's borne the impacts of DuPont's actions and inaction. So we ought to seek some sort of acknowledgement, and they shouldn't oversee that.
And this is the way to do it by the period, the 60-day window period.
Yeah.
We've done it in the past. I've reached up the chain to many different politicians, but this is the official way to do it. And by the way, the residents can also write letters during the 60-day window also in support of this idea. And I know some residents have. They sent me copies of it. So this is the way to do it. This is the best avenue.
Just a quick question on that. So at the Board of Education meeting, I say about 2 weeks ago, I did mention this as part of my report. And Superintendent Amoroso was very interested in the letter. Surprisingly, everyone there was not aware.
Yeah, most people aren't, right?
So it was very surprising to see. So upon submission of the letter, can a copy be sent to the superintendent? Because then he's going to make that probably part of his communication out to the residents. So everybody's aware of what's going on, and we may have more residents that are willing to submit letters.
It'd be great if they were on the Board of Ed.
So if that's okay, once we're ready to send it, if we could send a copy to the superintendent.
Yeah.
I think he's willing to, if that's okay, I'm not sure if that's.
It absolutely is. Just be conscious that the window's closing.
Yeah, it's quick.
Pretty quick. So I think it's, the first couple days of November that window closes.
Well, I'm pretty sure as soon as he has it, because he already followed up with me on it.
Well, I think we're going to vote on it tonight, the letter, and then as soon as we vote on it tonight, then, well, just a straw poll kind of.
Yeah.
And then we'll pass that right over to him. And then maybe you could reach out to him and let him know that the window's closing November 4th.
Okay.
If he wants, he could just use the same letter.
Yeah, of course.
Same letter.
Absolutely.
Any other questions, concerns?
I think that's a great idea. Thank you.
All right, so we're all in support of the letter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, I'm in support of the letter for sure. As a child who grew up in the plume.
It's going out tomorrow then.
Excellent. All right,
Thank you.
then we'll get it out and then we'll take it from there. Okay, great. Motion to open the meeting for public comments.
Motion.
Councilman Bennett, Councilman Cruz, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Please step up.
Paul Bowlby, 120 Romaine Ave. It's the street between Colfax and Lakeside. Blue house, red shutters, white trim with a white fence in front of it, just in case anybody was interested.
Thank you.
I want to thank Liz because I had brought to her attention on behalf of the Rotary that at Rotary Park, the 2 benches, the backs of them were yellow and they were starting to peel and they were looking a little rusty. And I called Liz and I sent her some pictures and already the DPW took care of it. I must have scraped the old paint off and painted the new yellow on it. Looks great. Thank you very much, Liz, and thanks to the DPW.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Please step up.
Mike Simone, 25 West Lennox. I didn't want to run over time before, so I didn't ignore Andy, but I also wanted to talk about Andy Silverstein and the fact that he was a very, very long time member of the planning board. In fact, he and I actually started almost the same year, and he continued well past when I left to go on the council. Great guy, very, very Pompton dedicated, became part of the whole bid process and the redevelopment process. Always had the town at heart. So thank you, Andy, for what he did, and my regrets to Nikki on losing the touch. Two good guys that had Pompton to heart their entire lives here. So there's that. Quick comment on the issue of access to the west side parking lot that you were talking about by VFWA and all the access driveways. We've looked at that at the planning board and at the bid and the whole process of redevelopment. It's a very difficult thing to deal with because it's not just the access. You can have the one access by max, but every one of those properties that fronts on Wanacue, the property goes back almost or maybe up to the river. Yeah. It's not like there's this big open area that the borough owns in the back. So you could get all the accesses you want, but I think, and I would, leave this to the attorney to make a decision, but once you get back there, if you don't own the property to the left and the right and the left and the right, you're still stuck. So by taking a road, anything, like if you were going to consider the VFWA becoming a municipal road, regardless of the fact that it's too narrow, that it may not be built right, that it's a risk, it goes nowhere because it goes back to private properties. So unless the town comes up with a way to, I don't know, reanalyze the whole west side parking lot, we're kind of stuck. And I would just want to make sure that we don't invest too much money into looking into what probably is going to be a dead end. Thank you.
A dead end.
I got that.
Yeah, I got that. That was quick.
You said constitutional law is always changing, and you're right, there is things that are constantly changing. For you not to recognize last meeting that you do not have to give up your Fourth Amendment right in order to express your first, for you not to recognize, I don't understand that. That's very, very basic. And these are when constitutional laws are easy. These are when our rights are easy. We still have an unconstitutional social media policy up. You said you were going to look into it. It's been over a month. What's going on with that? I don't think that any of you have seen that social media commenting policy and don't recognize that in one way or another, it violates constitutional rights. The fact that it's still up there is wild to me. It needs to be taken down until something can replace it. We shouldn't have something up there that blatantly violates constitutional rights posted anywhere. It's wild. Take it down. Replace it with whatever you need to replace it with. But something that goes against our constitutional rights doesn't belong there. I think you guys all need an education on these things. I think that it's very important that you learn about them. You swore an oath to the Constitution to defend these rights. You did this before you took office. If it was important enough that you had to swear an oath to it before you took office, maybe learn a thing or two about it.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
Councilman Hinton, somebody over here, I think, Council President Polidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against. Paul, thank you for, giving kudos to our DPW. They work hard, and I'm glad they got to it right away. Mike, thank you for the comments about Andy. Of course, he is going to be missed. I agree with you 100%. I've been doing this a long time like you, and we know that the issues in the back of that parking lot make it very difficult to even do anything back there, let alone have one property owner go across somebody else's property lines and put up fences, and things could get ugly that way quickly. So it's going to take some time, and we'll have to look into that. Our third speaker, I'm going to ask our attorney to look at our
I shall do
social
that.
media
Sure.
policy, and you tell me if it's right or wrong, and then we'll get back to it.
I do have some thoughts on that,
Okay.
so.
All right, great, thank you. Approach of the floor. Anybody approach the floor?
Yeah, I do. Sorry about that. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the gentleman and to share my apologies to him and his family for the unfortunate outcome of our interaction. I do not like being labeled a bully, considering that I spent the majority of my time here in Pompton Lakes working with kids and dealing with HIV reports and dealing with what goes on in the school system. That does not sit well with me. I just want to make this public here. I don't want to hear private because he does deserve that. So again, I just want to extend my apologies to him and his family.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, I just made the check that came from the county, it was
You want
mentioned twice
150.
that it was 100,000, but when I read the check, it was 150,000.
It was 150. It was 150. I didn't want to correct him, but it was 150.
Okay.
It is 100,000.
Why does the check say 150?
150.
150 is for open space park projects, 100 is always for historic preservation, and we did get a grant for historic preservation for the library. Brings our total to 700,000 for the library project, so it definitely is 100,000.
But did the check say 150?
The check said 150.
Then it must be incorrect.
No, we're going to hold him to that.
We want the extra 50.
Yes, that.
Okay, any other persons?
Yeah. And just, election day is coming. Get out there and vote.
Okay.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn into closed session. Motion.
So moved.
Councilman Cruz, Councilman Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Thank you,
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.
It's recorded.
Okay. In closed session, we discussed litigation, and we have a resolution to read. If you want to read that resolution, Liz.
25-355, appointing EB Employee Solutions LLC DBA as the difference party to provide HRA services.
Motion to approve resolution 25-355.
Motion.
Council President Polidori.
Second.
Councilman Hinton, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, motion to adjourn.
Just one other thing.
Is this privilege of the floor?
No, but Michael said to remind him, Friday about the phones.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We switched phone providers from Verizon Wireless to AT&T FirstNet. It's a government-managed network that you will never lose service on. So for those of you that have a borough phone, we're having a switchover this Friday between 10 and 3. If you're not able to come, your phone will still work, and we'll schedule a secondary session, but actually, good point, we've cut our bill in half by doing this, so.
No, that's just the phone, it's not our laptop.
Correct.
Do you want to just take it, how do I make the new one work for all the passwords?
They're gonna switch it for you and everything, you'll have to do nothing.
It's just a carrier, that's all. Just switch it.
So the passwords and everything are still the same?
Yeah.
Well, we got a new phone.
You're just going to another iPhone, so
And
it's
you
just gonna
get it-
transfer it and
Same
then.
phone, I'm getting the same actual phone back?
A newer iPhone.
Newer.
Oh, so then the lock screen things will all be different?
Yes.
But all your passwords and everything will transfer over, nothing changes.
Liz, did I do
It's the iCloud.
I got both for the motion to adjourn?
Yeah. We're
Can you
good.
fix it for me?
Yes? Right?
Thank you.
Do you want it now while I'm here?
Did we adjourn?
No, we're not, because Randy's
We didn't adjourn yet.
No.
Friday. And you can't make it this
Okay.
So,
Okay.
motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
I didn't get it first. Who was the first? Council President Polidori, Councilman Cruz, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, now we're on. Okay.